Back in the days of academic art, to be considered as an artist of any worth, you'd first have to spend years as an apprentice, rigorously training under a master according to a strict set of rules. You'd replicate paintings, copy casts of sculptures, and hone your techniques before moving on to create any masterpieces. We strive for uniqueness and forget that originality is simply judicious imitation. When we're children, we learn by imitating the ways of the world around us, but as we grow older, the pressure to be original mounts. But if the great painters of the past could learn by copying, why can't we? Even today, centuries later, studying the old masters can prove to be a valuable way to improve your own skills. A few years ago, I'd visited the Louvre, and I remember being fascinated then seeing an artist making a reproduction of one of the paintings hung up on the wall. Well, now, I've decided to adopt this traditional way myself, of studying by copying. Look, I've tried for years to paint my original ideas, but whether or not I get the desired result has always been uncertain because my mental visual library is just not vast enough. So let's hop on the big wide web and browse for some art to steal from. For someone like me just learning to draw anatomy, it's quite difficult to visualize the body structure underneath all the layered fabric. So I've selected a few paintings where the forms and plane changes of the body are clearly visible. And by that, of course, I mean nude paintings. Today's pick is Pandora by Jules Joseph Lefebvre, a French academician and prolific figure painter. I like the stark, balanced composition and the contrast of the skin against the dark background. Being a self-taught artist, I've figured out a few things about myself. One of them is that if I'm not interested enough in the subject matter that I'm painting, I'll get bored quickly and not gain a lot of mileage. So, a mythological subject is always a safe bet, because if nothing else, I can at least annoy people by telling them the story behind the image. Do you know of the myth of Pandora? According to Greek mythology, Pandora was the first mortal woman ever created, a being full of life, brimming with curiosity. As a gift, Zeus presented her with a mysterious box that was not to be opened under any circumstances, as its treasures were such that could not be beheld by human eyes. Of course, this was a trap, and ever the curious creature, Pandora could not resist. It was as if a force were drawing her to the box, and it almost seemed to be whispering her name, begging her to crank it open. And so she did, releasing a whole flurry of evils down into the mortal world, ending the golden age of mankind. So here's my final result. It was definitely intimidating to begin, as I'm a mere amateur next to the thousands of hours of experience of these artists. But along the process, I used the original as my North Star to guide me anytime things got muddy. And I think it turned out okay at the end. I avoided tackling a lot of stressful parts, but maybe it was best not to go all in the very first time. After all, this is just one of many master studies I'm going to do. I hope this motivated you to perhaps do one of your own as well.